Dr. Nadine Bentis. Thank you so much for joining us today for this information session for the Executive MBA program. It's also my pleasure to have Leith Martin here as well. I'll give a brief bio of him shortly. Leith, you see my screen, my slides? Thank you for the confirmation. The following is an overview of our session. Again, I'll just give you a brief welcome. Then I'll be doing a brief introduction of Professor Martin. He will then do a class preview of EMBA 714, which is a course he teaches in the EMBA called Management of Entrepreneurial Organizations. After that brief course overview, I will then do an overview of the Executive MBA program. Just some background, Leith Martin is Executive Director of the Troesh Center for Entrepreneurship Innovation in the Lee Business School, where he oversees entrepreneurship programs, including the Rebel Venture Fund, the UNLV National Science Foundation I-Corp program, and the Academic Entrepreneurship Curriculum. He received his BS in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Alabama, where he graduated with honors before pursuing an MBA program, also from the University of Alabama. But prior to joining UNLV, Leith pursued his entrepreneurial passion, which began in 1999, which he took over as president for Turnsbed International. The company provided fabricated steel and other engineered construction components to national hotel and restaurant chains in the United States, and at its peak supplied products on thousands of projects per year. During his tenure at T1, he expanded its operations into India and Mexico, and T1 averaged 100% annual growth for over 8 years. He relocated to Las Vegas in 2010, where he co-founded Equinet, a technology company. Equinet has customers across the United States, as well as China and Western Europe. So it's my pleasure to welcome Leith Martin, instructor of EMBA 714, Management of Entrepreneurial Organizations.
Thanks, Nadine. Let me share my screen. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the entrepreneurship course that we offer inside the EMBA program. I think it's actually one of the things I love most about teaching EMBAs. It's one of my favorite courses I teach on campus. I typically teach a class in the College of Engineering. I also teach a class on technology commercialization. I teach a class in the business school as well. And then I teach this EMBA course. I have to tell you, my EMBA course is my favorite, and it's because EMBAs are not scared to speak up in class. They don't really care what people think about them as much, and so I always love teaching our EMBAs relative to some of our other undergraduate courses because sometimes they're a little more worried about how they might appear. And I always love it teaching executives because they've got a lot more experience as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the EMBA course that I teach. If you have any questions, please just interrupt me. And ask, and I'll answer them directly then, or you can wait till the end. It's up to you, but I'm happy to answer any questions at any time. So when I started to build this entrepreneurship course and module inside the EMBA program, there were several things that I hoped to be able to provide to the students. One of the things that typically stops people's attempts to begin their entrepreneurial journey is oftentimes they don't know what to do next. And because they don't know what to do next, they just don't move forward. And they may generate an idea, or they may think about starting something, but because the next steps may seem unknown, then oftentimes it doesn't actually lead to action. And so what I thought I would do is I would provide a course that would give the direction or next steps that students can do in order to figure out whether or not the idea or the things that they think they might want to start have commercial viability. So the course itself is project-based. The way we structure the course is at the very beginning of the course, we literally throw up ideas that you could use potentially to start businesses up on a whiteboard in the classroom. And then really soon after that, we put together some teams, and then we proceed down this path to determine the commercial viability of those ideas. And we use a method called Lean Launchpad to do that. And there are a couple primary tools that are used in Lean Launchpad to help determine commercial viability of ideas. And the first tool is something called a business model canvas. The way I would describe a business model canvas is everything that you think you know about your business on a single sheet of paper. So it's your initial hypothesis of what you think the business is and what you think it can be. The next part of that tool, the next tool in Lean Launchpad is something called customer discovery. And it's a process, it's kind of the experimentation process of your original hypothesis, which is your business model canvas. And during the course of the unit, we go out and we talk to customers or potential customers to help figure out what the market segmentation looks like, what the customer segmentation looks like. And then we do a little market research in terms of industry. You know, for example, is the industry growing? Is it shrinking? What's happening to the industry over time, to help determine the commercial viability. And at the end of the course, ultimately, students do a presentation that says, yes, the idea is commercially viable, or no, it's not. And if it is, these are the reasons we believe that it is, or it's not, and we think it's not for these reasons. Coupled with this experiential learning tool, we also use lots of cases in the entrepreneurship module. Because one of the things that I found is that, you know, in the world of entrepreneurship, we can't, it's very difficult to get to the answer of, say, 4. We're doing a finance problem, we might actually ultimately say that we can reach a specific answer. But the problem in the world of entrepreneurship is we can't do something, figure out that it didn't work, go back in time and do something again slightly differently and figure out we can get a better outcome. So what we attempt to do is we put ourselves in situations through cases where we discuss the potential outcomes based on putting ourselves in the seat of the entrepreneur in this particular course, and help determine what we would do if we were in that particular situation in moving this particular opportunity forward. And so pretty much every course or every class that we do will have a case in which we discuss specifics, and as a class, we'll argue over what the best solution we think might be. And then also we bring in lots of speakers in this course. We bring in speakers that talk about, we bring in investors that talk about the things that they look for when considering investing in a company. We also bring in entrepreneurs, people who have started companies, and they talk about their experiences in starting companies, good and bad. Not everything about entrepreneurship is easy and not everything is good. And so we bring in speakers to talk about their individual experiences. We also cover lots of other topics that are incredibly important to starting a company. So for example, we'll talk about what kind of different sources of startup funding are available to startups and the advantages and disadvantages of all those different types of startup funding. We'll talk about pitch decks. So what is a pitch deck? How do you create one? How do you give a good pitch? What are investors looking for in a pitch? What are the things that should be included in a pitch deck? All the things that you would need to know in order to build a pitch deck, ultimately to raise money to build a company. And most of the things that we talk about, we do some small business stuff. So for example, if you wanted to open a restaurant or dry cleaners, but the vast majority of stuff that we cover in the entrepreneurship module are what we would call scalable businesses, businesses that create significant impact, as opposed to businesses that serve a local community, for example, like a restaurant or a dry cleaners. We also talk about business plans. We talk about the need for business plans, why business plans should be created. What are the reasons for business plans? In other words, oftentimes business plans are created in order to create credibility from funders. Sometimes if you want to borrow money from a bank, they're going to require a business plan. Business plans can also be used to help create or recruit co-founders or future employees because it provides lots of credibility and it provides you a direction on where you think you need to go in order to start the business. Now, in our course, we don't actually write a full business plan because the reality is in the way that the course is structured, most business plans typically take not only a considerable amount of time, but they're usually somewhere between 25 and 50 pages, depending on the complexity of the business. But since the vast majority of the students in the EMBA course are typically working for an enterprise, we do cover innovation inside existing enterprises as well. So what are some specific things or tools that you can use inside an existing business to maybe innovate in your current role, but also things that you might do or innovations that you might be able to create inside your existing organization in order to create an entrepreneurial environment inside your existing company and in your current role in whatever job that may be. Now, here's my pitch for Exec Ed. I think Exec Ed has a great deal of value. I've actually participated in a couple Exec Ed programs in my own career, and I think there are 3 big outcomes on why you should consider Exec Ed as part of your potential career path in the future. The first is that I think academic learning is incredibly important, right? So not only do you continue to learn, but also you're often continuing to learn things that maybe you haven't done in a long time, depending on what your undergraduate programs or your current job is, but also there are new things that are always being developed. And as a result of that, there are new things that you can learn. So I think about a third of the benefit in participating in an exec ed program is the academic learning. The next thing I think that has tremendous value is the network that you get in executive education programs. Network is because of the way that our EMBA program and other exec ed programs are built around this cohort mentality. Cohort program is incredibly important because you get incredibly close to these people that you work with over the course of these 18 months. And as a result of that, they become part of your network. And I have found in my own experience that because of those experiences that you have together and that you work together to get through the course and you work together as team members in order to be able to get certain assignments done, and you spend so much time together over the course of the 18 months, you get to know each other incredibly well. And they become the network that you lean on in the future, whether it becomes advice that you may want to get on career choices, whether it becomes future employment opportunities, because they may actually potentially be building teams in the future and may tap you in order to be able to get you to come and help them build organizations. So I think network is incredibly important inside the cohort. And then also UNLV has done a fantastic job of expanding the alumni network across the broader EMBA network as well. So not only do you benefit from a network inside your individual cohort, which consists of somewhere between 15 and 30 people, depending on the size of the cohort, but also you get a network of people that have experienced something very similar in participating in an EMBA program, and specifically the UNLV EMBA program, that you get access to the alumni network as well that help expand your own personal network. And then the third thing that I think that you'd benefit greatly from an EMBA program or an executive education program is what I call personal reflection. So oftentimes what happens in an executive education program is you're typically pulled out of your traditional routine. So you have your personal life and the things that you do in your personal life, but you also have your professional life or the things that you do in your current role. And as a result of that, sometimes you look up and you're like, wow, 5 years have gone by and I'm not sure much has changed. Or I haven't had time to actually be strategic in the way that I want my life to be. And so oftentimes executive education programs provide these inflection points in your career that allow you to maybe be a little more strategic in the way that you plan your next steps and the things that you want to do, both in terms of, what you might want to do in terms of your career, but also maybe you want to take an entrepreneurial venture or build an entrepreneurial venture. It allows you to provide you some of the tools necessary to figure that out. And I personally think that executive education is about a third of each one of these in equal weight in terms of benefit. The academic learning, the network of being involved in executive education, and then finally the personal reflection that allows you to get access to during this process. So I am an entrepreneur. I love entrepreneurship. I think it's incredibly rewarding, but I also think it's hard. And the more tools that I can give you in order to help increase the likelihood that you will succeed if you decide to take an entrepreneurial journey, but more importantly, give you the tools necessary to help determine commercial viability of ideas, and then give you a path forward with some knowledge that helps you figure out the things or the steps that you should take in order potentially considering starting a company. So that's my course that I teach in the EMBA program at UNLV. It's called EMBA 714. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. And at this time, if you may have any questions.
So we had a question. Also let everyone know if you have a question for Leith, feel free to type it in the chat. Do you have to have experience in entrepreneurship to get the most out of this class?
Yeah, great question, Nadine. I would say definitely not. And I would say the vast majority, the methodology that we use in the course is a methodology that is become incredibly popular, not only among undergraduate students, but also there's a program that's designed by the National Science Foundation called I-Corps. And we use a very similar methodology to teach faculty and STEM students about commercialization tools to try to figure out how to commercialize research or their ideas that they may generate inside labs. So definitely not. The course is designed specifically around teaching individuals the tools of entrepreneurship. But to be fair, we have a lot of entrepreneurs that have gone through the EMBA program that then take certain things that we do in the course and then apply it to the businesses that they're currently building as well. So I don't think you have to have experience in entrepreneurship to get some benefit from that. In fact, some of the tools that we use, I've heard from students that they've used some of those tools inside their existing organizations to determine, for example, whether or not their current organization is adequately providing the services inside the larger organization that the company expects them to do. So there's lots of tools that are translatable even outside the world of entrepreneurship.
I want to highlight that as well, because I think some students come in, they think, oh, I don't need to entrepreneurship. This is not a class I need because I'm not going to start my own business or make something scalable. But as Leith just mentioned, the tools that you use in this course can be utilized in the corporate environment and the position that you're currently at or the organization you're currently at.
Cool. Yep, absolutely right, Nadine. All right, so Brittany, Monisha, and Shakita, any questions?
No questions on my end. Thank you so much for a very detailed presentation. I'm very excited to not only participate in this class, but to join the EMBA program. It's great to hear that you are part of I-Corps. It's a great program.
Oh, good. You know I-Corps.
Yeah, I was part of, I actually had a grant that was funded by the National Science Foundation. I had a chance to work on the Launchpad program for an e-commerce that we were developing. So it's an incredible program. It's great to know that UNLV takes it to another level. So
yeah, that's great. I actually, so Brittany, I not only use that, I teach all the workshops for I-Corps at UNLV, but I also teach at the regional level, which is we have 8 institutions that now work together and provide the I-Corps training. And then I'm actually teaching in a national program now where we have 25 different teams from 25 different universities across the United States. So I-Corps is definitely ingrained in our DNA here for sure.
oh, that's great to hear. What would you say is your favorite class aside from this?
Yeah, so I like, it's a good question. I like the EMBAs because they just have so much experience. And so because they have so much experience, the discussion is so lively. Let's put it that way. I make people make choices. Okay, is this a yes or no? Which one do you take? And, half the class may vote for one and half the class for the other, and they'll have to defend their decision. So I like the EMBAs because of that. But I will say that I do teach a class in technology commercialization in the College of Engineering. And I enjoy that because oftentimes the engineers feel like that they don't have, excuse me, they don't have a lot of business experience. But the reality is that, anyone can do this. There are lots of students that I work with that are pursuing degrees in the arts or other areas that ultimately might end up starting businesses. And so, I think that entrepreneurship often falls into the bucket of business, but the reality is that there are lots of different types of individuals that ultimately end up starting companies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How many students do you normally have in your class?
So the EMBA course ranges somewhere between 15 and 30, just depending on the year and different circumstances. The tech commercialization class that I teach typically has between 25 and 30. I also teach a class called Small Business Management, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's an online course, so it's not as interactive. It's a good course. The reason we do it online is because lots of distance students get access to it. But the truth is it's less interactive, so I don't like it as much because it's not as interactive. But it is a course that I teach for many students.
Awesome. That's great to know. Well, I look forward to meeting both of you in person one day.
Cool. Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you. So just so you know, thank you so much, Leith. If you have any questions, additional questions for Leith, feel free to email me. I'll be going over now the EMBA portion of the presentation, and I'll have my email at the end. And definitely, if there's any additional questions you have for Leith, I'll be happy to send them on and reply back to you. Shakita, do you have an email? Do you have a question?
I did. So
Okay.
I did have some difficulty with hearing what you were saying in the beginning, and I caught most of your presentation, Leith. But I might be a little bit confused. I thought it seems like it was geared towards entrepreneurship only, or are there other fields of study?
Oh, of course, yes. Our EMBA program, just to give you an overview, we're just doing a class preview of one of the courses in the EMBA, which is the entrepreneurship course. That was just a class of just one of the courses. Now I'll be going over the whole EMBA curriculum afterwards, but we want to just introduce you to one of the faculty members you'd be reading with in the EMBA. And it's just one of the classes that you take in the program, 1 out of 20. So we're just giving a class preview of just one of the classes.
Great. Thank you for the clarification.
Cool. Nadine, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Thank
Let me
you,
know if
Leith.
you need anything else. Thank you.
I will. Thank you. So I hope you enjoyed that presentation from Leith in regards to the classes that he teaches in the EMBA program. Now it's my pleasure to provide an overview of the program itself. Just to give some background, our Executive MBA program is housed at our Lee Business School. The Lee Business School is AACSB accredited. Just to give you some background, that means that only 5% of business programs worldwide have this AACSB accreditation. We are one of them, and we're the only one program in Southern Nevada that has this accreditation from this business school. And this is a worldwide recognition for business schools. So just to give you a background of the EMBA program, what you hope to accomplish, and that'll go over the curriculum, the student experience, as well as the application process. So what we hope you get from this program upon graduation is a deeper understanding of business functions. When I go over the curriculum, you'll see we provide a great overview of business acumen. What that means is we provide a holistic approach to business school, which means you take all the fundamental courses associated with business. You take accounting, finance, strategy, entrepreneurship, negotiations. All of those topics are covered in our program throughout the 18-month duration of our program. So again, we provide a holistic view of business within the Executive MBA program. And again, Leith just provided an overview of just the one class that he teaches in it, just to give you a class preview to discuss the content and what you will get and instructors of quality that you'll get in the Executive MBA program. Also, ability to make complex situations and difficult decisions. As Leith mentioned in our program, our EMBA program is a cohort-based model, and we're a very intimate group. What that means is all students go through the program together. We do one intake a year every summer, and our cohort size is about 15 to 25 students. What that means is you do the lockstep program together. You really get to know one another, not only within the cohort, but also the instructors. As Leith said, one of the favorite things he likes about EMBA students is that they're very forthcoming and give their opinion and provide their feedback and their own expertise in the program. So when you do situations or case studies in the classroom, these are concepts and skills that you'll utilize right away and be able to use in your work environment. And you have colleagues from all over different sectors that can give you their feedback and their leadership experience as well. I guess increased confidence. We do provide leadership skills both throughout the program as well as the beginning and end. We do a course upon entry about learning your own leadership skills, how you are in the program. And at the end of the course, we do this kind of an assessment to see how you've developed over that 18 months of the program. And we also do the increased confidence, not only through leadership, prototypes and assessments, but also increased confidence through the experiences that you bring in the program, as well as increasing your network of individuals you're working with and providing you executive coaching throughout the program. As Leith mentioned, a third of the program that he thinks is most important for executive education is networking. You are just one of cohort in the Executive MBA program. We are currently recruiting our 23rd cohort. So they are 22 cohorts ahead of you. We have over 350 alum worldwide that participated in our Executive MBA program. So if you've ever have a question within a different industry or want to know someone in Las Vegas who maybe you have a question for or would like to learn more about, we're able to connect you through our network, not only in the Executive MBA program, you're also part of the Lee Business School alumni network as well. Of course, upon graduation, increased responsibilities, promotions, and opportunities. And based on that Executive MBA survey, about 14.1 have an increase in pay from start to end of program. The curriculum. So a key question I get is, what is the difference between MBA versus EMBA? So in our program, our Executive MBA program, we are a cohort model, which I stated earlier, which means you go through the whole program, 18 months lockstep with your colleagues. So you really get to know one another, go through the program together, go through the trials and tribulations of the program. And what I mean by that is 18 months in a program where you're working full time, majority of our students have families, that responsibilities they have to do. So life does happen when you're in the program. So you really have a cohort, and the photo on the right is our current cohort that's completing their first fall in this program, So we are cohort based, so you take the whole program together. Also, to accelerate it, our program is 18 months. Traditional MBA programs are 24 months. So we're doing more content, intensive content in a shorter period of time. Also, the curriculum, I wanted to introduce Leith in the program, one, to bring not only his experience level, because for a lot of our students, they want to be able to know that our faculty members are not only prolific researchers at our one institution, they also have practical experiences. So as I said in Leith's bio, he has over 20 years of experience in entrepreneurship, has developed 2 successful companies. So he can bring that lifelong learning with him into the classroom and his own experiences. And also a global perspective. And what I mean by that is not only taking an international business course, but as part of the program, as a capstone of the program, you are required to do an international seminar. What that means is you as a cohort will decide where you want to go. You take a negotiation class in your first fall semester called Conflict Negotiation and Leadership. There you'll decide where your cohort will go on their international seminar. Actually, next week, cohort 21, who's graduating at the end of December, will be going to Milan and Paris for their international seminar. The cohort on the right are deciding next week in their negotiation class where they'll be going on their international seminar. So that's a required component in the program, as we feel it is important to not only talk about international experiences in the global environment, but also experience it as well. So again, we are an 18-month program. We are fully in person. We also feel that in order to get the most out of the classroom, to be fully immersed in your work, you need to be in person for classes. But we know you work full time, so our classes are Fridays, Saturdays, approximately every other weekend. You have classes on Friday and Saturday from 8:30 to 5:30 p.m. For example, you have one class in the morning from 8:30 to 12:30. Then you have an hour lunch break, and then a second class from 1:30 to 5:30. And so again, and those are total for about 7 weekend sessions before the next class session begins. So in the 18 months, you'll be in classes on 74 total days in class, plus our 10-day international seminar. Again, we are a 43 credit unit, 20 courses in person, a lockstep program. Again, you take all of your classes with your cohorts from beginning to end. After the session concludes, I will send you a calendar that has all the classes listed for the Executive MBA program, as well as all the dates. We know you need to plan ahead. Again, our next program start is June of 24. You graduate December of 25. We have all the dates for every class listed out there, including the international seminar. And we also require, as part of the application process, a lot of corporate support. We want your employers to also know you're in this program and also to support it, because as you know, you're in classes on Friday about every other week. Employers do support it though, because they feel that what you're learning in the classroom can be applied to what they're doing and what you're doing right away. For example, when you take a finance class, you take conflict negotiation class, you can take those concepts you've learned and apply them to your work setting, so your work can see the benefit of your participation in this program. Again, we're an 18-month accelerated program, and we do have the classes Friday, Saturday, every other weekend. These are a list of the classes that you take in the order that you take them. So from left to right, the first summer that you're in the program, you take our Leadership and Team Effectiveness course. That's the first 5-day orientation course that we have. The only variations from the weekend format is that first course, the 701 Leadership and Team Effectiveness, and the International Seminar. Every other course follows that Friday, Saturday, every other weekend model. But again, you can see from the coursework that we provide a very holistic overview of business acumen. So you take a financial accounting course, an applied statistics course, then they build on to managerial accounting. So you can see the list here, but one common question I get is our students actually come from multiple backgrounds and sectors. We have students in the healthcare field, hospitality, business, entrepreneurship. So they have multiple backgrounds but now are ended up in business. So a lot of their undergraduate degrees are in many different majors. We have philosophy, biology. We have very few actually students who have business backgrounds formally in the undergrad space. So one thing we also want you to know is that if you've never taken a business class or only taken 1 or 2 in your undergrad career, do not be trepidatious about doing this program. We provide, again, the holistic view, and we provide quite a bit of support services. For example, in the first summer, you take financial accounting for managers and statistics. Those are very, domineering courses that, require a lot. So we provide a lot of support services. And what I mean by that is there's required tutoring that goes with those classes, because to learn finance and statistics in a 6-week format is quite difficult. It's like drinking from a fire hose. So we have supplemental tutoring that's required, and the tutors have worked with our faculty members for numerous years, so they understand the content very well. And they provide that kind of pre-class for you before you have the classes with your instructor to make sure that you have all the skill sets that you need for the program itself. Again, just to give an overview, about the EMBA curriculum. It's integrated both in theory and in application. So of course you'll do case studies, but also we bring in real world experiences through guest speakers and numerous other opportunities to bring in your own experiences to the EMBA program. We teach you problem identification analysis. We try to replicate the business environment. One thing also in the Executive MBA program is you do a lot of teamwork, because in your work setting, you also participate a lot in teams. So we also make sure that it is very important that you replicate that in the business, in the classroom. So we'll make sure throughout the duration of the program that you will actually work with all of your teammates and all of your cohort members throughout the program itself. Again, we bring guest speakers, live cases, and the global perspective is done through not only international business, but through the required international seminar. So now going to the experience of the Executive MBA program. Again, it's an 18-month program, but we try not only to cram in a bit of content, of course, but it's also about the experiences beyond the classroom as well. So for example, on the left photo that you see there, that's our service operations instructor, Peggy McNulty, and they were talking about service operations in the course. At the end of the course, we went to Allegiant Stadium to assess the service operations of Allegiant Stadium itself. So we try to not only talk about classroom, but also introduce you through guest speakers and taking you through different venues throughout the Las Vegas community, getting to see implementation of the concepts you're discussing in class. Also, we also manage that and discuss that we don't want to only have you encompassed in the world of Executive MBA. We also want you to be your part of the business school. So our business school has lots of events. This is actually one that's called Brews and Economic Views, held by our Center for Business and Economic Research. So this is a panel of different participants of different sporting teams in the Las Vegas area, talking about the impact of sports on the economy of Las Vegas. So we invite you to numerous events that are not only through our EMBA program, but through the school itself to really increase your networking opportunities in the program. Also, we don't want to forget about our alumni as well. So what we do in our program is we have alumni who also have businesses throughout the Las Vegas community. We want to highlight those accomplishments of our alumni. So we do quite a bit of events, about 2 or 3 a semester, at the businesses of our alumni to really showcase the impact our students are having on the community, and also to introduce our students so they can meet one another. So multiple cohorts are mixing with one another throughout the program. Actually, the photo in the middle shows, we just had our 20th anniversary for cohort 1 who graduated in 2003. So that in the photo has members from cohort 1 all the way to our current cohort. Just social outings, we know that when our students finish accounting and finance, that's a huge accomplishment in the summer. So we took them out to lunch right across the street from the Howard Hughes Center to celebrate that accomplishment. And also you're part of UNLV. So this year our football team is doing much better than years before. So we've gone to a few football games in the program. We want you to also integrate and get to know one another through the classroom and outside. Again, a required component in our program is our international seminar. These are just some examples of trips we have taken. And we also try to be purposeful on continents. So the very left photo is our students in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, middle and South America in Brazil, and right, the students chose to go to Spain, so in Europe as well. So again, where your cohort goes is determined by your cohort itself. So in the fall semester, you take that conflict negotiation course, you determine where in the world you want to go, you pitch it to your cohort, and you guys vote, and the majority wins on the locations of where students will go for the international seminar. This is an overview of some of the companies our students have worked for, our students and alumni, that show the diverse nature of the sectors represented in the EMBA cohort alumni profile. Just give you an overview of the application process. So our program is an all-inclusive cost of $50,500. But what does that include? That doesn't include just tuition, which is, again, 43 units. This includes everything in the program. And what I mean by that is, one thing about the EMBA also is that because we're a smaller program of 15 to 25 students, we do provide a concierge experience for our students. So when you come to class, you focus primarily on coursework. When you're in classes, breakfast and lunch are provided for you. We register you for your courses. We help you navigate the financial aid office and registrar system in the university itself. For textbooks as well. So before you finish your current set of classes, your textbooks will arrive for your next set of classes. The international seminar, which provides 10 days of travel, including airfare and most of your meals, as well as accommodations, are all included in that fee as well. And it's broken up over the 7 semesters of the program. And again, when you're in class with your faculty members, you also have access to our staff members. There's always 1 or 2 staff members with the EMBA program with you at that time. So if you have any questions, you can ask that during that time. But we try to make it that when you're in class, you're fully immersed in it, so you can kind of shut out the outside world and focus on the content of your program for the time you're in class with us. Another common question I get, though, is, Nadine, work happens, life happens, emergency happens, I need to travel this, in 2 months for this conference, I need to do X, Y, and Z, or you wake up and your child is sick, what do I do? So we do have a capability in the Executive MBA program to, if you need to be online synchronous, which means that if you are able to come to class, but you can't come physically to class because of multiple reasons, traveling, illness, we can have it live synchronous, so you can participate in the classroom virtually that day. Just to give you that flexibility to do that. That's a program you can do throughout the whole program. It's a one-off that we do to accommodate the busy schedules of our students. As we said, to get the most out of this program, you need to be in person and fully engaged in it. But in the 1 or 2 times throughout the program that you need to, maybe be online, we're able to do that for you as well. And again, we know life happens too. Maybe you can't be online. We also understand that people have to be out of the program. So we say usually 2 or 3 absences throughout the 18 months is the most allowed, only because if you think about it, every class is about 7 class sessions. So missing 1 is like 1/7 of the course. So we want to make sure that students understand the time commitment of the program, and we understand that life does happen. So of course, 2 to 3 absences, and are able to be online synchronous if you need to travel for work or can't be in class for a particular reason. Our admission requirements, we do require a bachelor's degree from an accredited university with 2.57 GPA. Again, the field does not need to be in business. We have students that have multiple backgrounds in multiple areas, but a bachelor's degree is required. Typically, our students have about 7 years of work experience, full-time work experience, as well as about 3 to 5 years of management experience. Again, we do require a letter of corporate endorsement. The reason for that is you do have classes on Fridays. So we want to make sure your employer is aware that you're going to be in class about every other Friday for 18 months of the program. And that letter is also helpful for you. So let's say your manager changes while you're in the program. You can say, hey, look, I have this letter for the company saying that they understand that I'll be out of class on these Fridays the next 18 months. A personal recommendation, that can be from a colleague, a coworker, to someone who is a community member, someone who knows your leadership and management style, and they can attest to that and how those would be valuable assets to the Executive MBA program. A self-evaluation, which is just a 2 to 3 page letter of statement of intent on why you're interested in joining the Executive MBA program. We do require an executive assessment. We don't require the GRE or GMAT. We require something called the executive assessment. It's a 90-minute assessment exam that just does a baseline of your quantitative, qualitative, and critical thinking skills. That we do require that you can take at a testing center, or you can take it at home as well. And after all the application materials are in, we do a personal interview. The interview committee is myself, a faculty member, and an alum of the program. And again, it's not no trick questions of what is the square root of this. It's just really a conversation to understand the dynamics of the program, and also for the students have an opportunity to ask any questions they have about the program as well, because you'll get a different answer from an administrative side, from faculty member side, to a student who's actually gone through the program. So that interview is required at the end of the program, at the end of the interview process. And usually about 1 or 2 weeks after the interview is completed, that's when you'll have your admission decision. Again, a little bit about the executive assessment. It's a 90-minute exam broken up into 3 30-minute sections with reasoning, verbal, and quantitative. You get your results within 24 hours of taking the exam, and you can take it online or you can take it at a testing center. After this presentation, I'll send you this presentation as well, so you can access all of these links. Again, now we're accepting applications for the 2024 cohort starting in June of 24. Our final consideration is April 26, 2024, and classes begin on June 14th. But also to let you know that we are in our priority application phase. So if you apply for the program by December 1, the $150 application fee will be waived for the program. And again, here's my email address. So in case you have any questions for myself, or if you thought of a question for Leith, you can definitely send that over to me and I can forward that on to him as well. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen and open it up to any questions that you have for me. And I'll also type my email address in the chat as well, so you can grab that information. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to unmute yourself or type them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. Thank you so much.
Great presentation. Thank you, Nadine. I still have to fill out my application, so it's good to know that you guys have a priority right now. So I'll do that and then send you an email as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And as long as you apply with the application, just complete the online application portion of it. I don't need to receive everything like the letters of recommendation or corporate letter by the December 1st date. As long as the online application is done, that would be considered to waive the fee itself.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Shakira, you have a question?
I do. And how much time do you have? I don't want to take up too much time.
I have time. So whatever questions you have, feel free to ask.
Okay.
them.
A couple. So I'm
Yes.
ahead of when I'm actually going to apply. So right now I'm gonna go back to school at UNLV full time in the spring to complete my bachelor's in finance.
Correct.
And I roughly have maybe 2.5 years left.
Okay.
And my next move is definitely to do this program.
Okay.
And my question with the requirements are, obviously I'll probably be in a role not for very long, right?
Okay.
Before I'm in the program. Will my previous experience count as that?
Yes, of course. Yes. So we look at, we've
Okay.
had students before that, had work experience, but didn't have that bachelor's degree yet, went back to UNLV, with the work experience that they had, completed the working while they're actually attaining their bachelor's as well, finish the program and start our program right away. And they're able to do that because we do account the experiences that you've had before the bachelor's degree as well. We look at your application holistically. So yes, that is feasible to do.
Okay, great, wonderful. And then regards to tuition, do you know if the GI Bill will cover any portion of it?
We've had students utilize the GI Bill for that has covered actually the whole cost of the program for our students in the past. So yes, we do have probably an average 1 to 2 students who utilize that services throughout our program, and yes, it has covered the cost of the program. And we work hand in hand with that office to do all the required, because every semester we have to do some verifications and the courses are required and different things. So I work with them hand in hand to get that paperwork done.
Right. Okay, great. I think, last question. Other than what you've already listed that's required for the application, what else can one do to be more competitive? I just want to make sure I get in this program.
Yeah, I would say especially because you're coming back to UNLV, to take advantage. So when we have events or information sessions, to stay in contact with our office. And I know that now that I know that you're interested in the next few years, so I can, invite you to come to a certain event so you can meet our students and really get involved with the program so you can get the most of that experiences. So yeah, so just send me an email and then I know hey, Shakira may want to come to that event. You may be on campus. Or for example, some instructors that you're taking in your finance program, maybe you have like Dan and Ceciliano who teaches at our program, so they can kind of get to know you and develop those relationships early on.
Wonderful. Great. I'll send you an email. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you so much for joining us today. We will be sending out this presentation afterwards, as well as the application materials, such as the letter of corporate letters of responsibility, all the templates that we have. We also have a step-by-step application checklist that gives you a detailed step-by-step on how to apply for the program, as well as more information for the executive assessment. I'll also be sending you a copy of this video as well. So if you have any questions, if you want to watch it again, or just hear more about Leigh's entrepreneurship course, just in more detail. And again, that course is just a preview of one of the classes, one of the 20 that you'll take in the Executive MBA program. We do like to have our faculty come in just to give a brief talk so you can see the unique nature, the experience our faculty are bringing to this program. But thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope to see your application soon. Again, thank you for joining and learning more about the Executive MBA program. Have a great afternoon.